Good morning, everyone. I'm Sister Jenna, your host for our new America Meditating segment called Wise Ish. It's your power boost for the morning. It's for you to take your dose for your inner cure. Join us every day, Monday through Friday, from 8:30 a.m. to 8:45 ET. Don't forget, take your dose. See you soon.
I feel it now. It's all around me. A silent voice I can't deny. A mother's arms, how they surround me. They sing the beauty of my life.
It will last forever. It will never fade away. Never cause me pain. This love, this love.
I close my eyes. It takes me memory deep down in my soul. And safe to be beside you.
It will last forever. It will never fade away. Never cause me pain. This love, this love.
It will last forever. It will never fade away. Never cause me pain.
It will last forever.
Om Shanti, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to your spiritual vaccine hour. How are you doing? How are the angels? What did you do today? What new thought did you have? What were you up to? Did you have any realizations? Did anything pop open for you that made you just go, ah, I'm getting it. I'm getting why I'm here. I'm getting why I'm in this body. I'm getting why the soul is playing this part. I'm getting why I really need to have a deep connection to Source. I'm getting why I need to pay attention to my choices. I'm getting why I need to keep creating fortune for the future. Did anything like that pop for you today? Pop, pop, crackle, what do you call it? Snap, crackle, pop. Did anything open up for you today? I hope so. I hope so. Today we wrapped up our America Meditating 7th Annual Retreat, and I have to say, I am so humbled to be in service to what I'd call my extended family. And today our friend Marianne Williamson did a riveting job on talking about love and the power of meditation, and Lynn McTaggart came on from the UK to confirm the importance of the intentions and the power of 8. And what I also loved was a few of our sisters from Peace Village, Sister Judy, Sister Kala, who shared very beautifully about meditation, God, but also intention. And something that came up was, you know, there are many great leaders historically, and when they pass away, they don't leave anyone in charge to carry on their legacy. I mean, people do remember them, and people do respect them and regard, and there are statues built in their memorials, but how many people did they make great? And so Sister Judy was sharing a story about Daddy Janki, who many of you already know is our spiritual mentor. She passed away on March 27th at the age of 104. And a few of her very close allies was saying, Daddy, let's write a book about your life. Your life is fascinating. We need to tell the whole world about who you are. She goes, not interested. I don't want a book about myself. And they're like, what? What are we going to do? So they said, well, then she says, if you want to write a book, write about a book about the greatness of people. Write that. And so Judy went out, did a research, and she and her team was realizing that what Daddy's definition of great people meant is if you can uplift many other people with you. And that it's not just about you, but they make other people empowered, and they leave a legacy of empowered beings behind. And we thought about that today in the retreat, and we thought about the role Daddy Janki played in our lives in making thousands of us stand on our own 2 feet. And Spiritual Vaccine Hour is to do that to you too, by the way. We want you to be able to stand on your own 2 feet, to be the powerful force that you can be in the world. So that landed really well for us in the retreat today, because Judy was connecting to how the work that we've been doing with the America Meditating group and family, extended family, is that we won't leave anyone alone to be less than. We're like always, let's do this, let's put this together, let's elevate this, maybe we can assist this one. And I never thought of it one bit until Judy pointed it out today. Didn't you think that was interesting, Santosh? Because I hadn't thought about it today, about how we continue to just try to, let's bring everybody up. It's not about a guru or a worshipping, but how can we soar together, and how can we thrive together? How can we live together and create a community of empowered people, collective empowered people, not just one, but many, So I thought I'd share that with you because it's important. Today's talk is about living beyond complaints. I don't know who chose that topic for me today. I think that might be Antonia. Living beyond complaints. How does someone who complains very little speak about living beyond complaints? So from a very genuine and sincere place, and not coming from anything intellectual, I will share with you my own personal process. I think many years ago, in our advanced class called the Murli, I had heard from our teachings from Baba, from Brahma Baba, that each time you complain, you created a file. And that file would increase and would become a burden in the soul. And for some reason, that had sat in me many, many years ago. I said to myself, well, every time I complain, it's like there's a resistance that takes place in the soul. There is, you feel like you're being held back, pulled back. You feel like you didn't get accomplished anyway what you wanted to get accomplished. Because if your complaint is in front of a person, if you're coming from an energy that's still charged with sorrow and pain, sometimes what the person will pick up is the sorrow and the pain and not the message. Another thing is if you offer your complaint because of expectation that the other person should have done it like this or give it like this, and that person is oblivious, that can create pretty bad customer relations, whether you're in a company or even at home. And I think that when you complain, it's a sign that there's a kind of a dissatisfaction. You know, there's a discontentment inside. And what the complaint does, it clarifies, or it confirms rather, that I am discontented. Because when you complain about anything, it means you're not satisfied about maybe an engagement that you've had in the workplace, or in a department store, or with customer service. How many of you called your phone company, or you tried to return a product, or you're on the line with the insurance company for hours, and then they connect you to the wrong department, and you're like, oh my God, and you can't help but just like, okay, look, I was on hold for 45 minutes. Couldn't the person have just connected me to the right department? My time is valuable. And you find that you start to get frustrated, and your frustration is valid. But if it takes away your peace, that's invalid. That isn't valid. And so how to live beyond complaint is that I feel you can still point out what needs fixing or what needs to be better, but if you've lost your peace, not good. Then you're not living beyond complaint. You're living in the complaint. And that complaint is making you more and more dissatisfied. But I came across an interesting video that basically gave us about 8 steps. 8 steps in how to be able to deal with complaints, whether it's in the workplace, it will even be helpful in the family, whether it's customer service on the phone line. And I thought that this will help us as well to kind of situate ourselves in today's sharing. And if you have any questions when we come back, I would love to be able to share them with you. steps, huh? And it all had to do with a kind of a, for me, a kind of a self-respect that I can handle your complaint if I'm in my self-respect and self-worth. If you complain about me and I get sensitive and I get sad and I get upset or I get angry, then I come off of my seat of self-respect. It's like, what happened to me? How in the world could what you said to me throw me away from my greatest fortune, which is my peace of mind? You know, something Caroline May said 2 days ago in the retreat. She says, why is it that we're taking certain things so personally? You know, it's okay that, you have an intimate relationship with the world, but why do you have to take the suffering of everything that's going on in the world so personally? It's not your suffering. But if there's an intimate relationship, there's an awareness of saying, okay, how do I navigate myself through these particular times? And you find that if people are complaining about the politics, and we know there's a lot to complain about there, but if they're complaining about the politics, government, thievery, chicanery, the fact that the system is corrupt, and you keep complaining, don't you feel a sense of deep dissatisfaction? So what is the solution? How do I live beyond complaints? One, if you're constantly attacking me, sometimes I look at my social media on the Twitter because that's what I use personally. So if you ever want to communicate with me personally, do it through my Twitter account because that's the only one I really manage. And I'll scroll through it and I see the comments and the tweets that people take the time and the energy to type in with their fingers. Now they had an option of thousands of other ways to express their feelings, but they will use the F word, they will say this, they will complain, they will criticize you, they will, what's the word, when they attack you with their words. And I would look at that and I go, they had a million options to communicate what they feel is the right answer, or what they feel is the right way. And they came from a different perspective, from the area of a complaint. Now, I'll give you an example how I sometimes deal with situations that I'm not pleased with. And let's say I've been in situations like that. And there are two particular cases, right? One is I'm in a very strong place. And so whatever the person does, it's water off my back. It's like, it's okay. What can I do? I'm so sorry if I've offended you. My apologies. What is it that I can do to fix it? Okay. So if you look at that, it might have been a big thing. It could have been a small thing. But because I'm in my place of self-respect, I'm beyond it. I'm beyond what they think, what they said, what they should have said, what they should have done. But now there are those other cases where the person can do a small thing and I would be like, what is wrong with her or him? Can't he just see this? Or, oh, how long is it going to take? And I realize I'm not in a good place. So when we are able to live beyond complaints, it's a testimony of the deep work that you're doing on the soul. Look, we are souls. The soul is immortal, eternal, and imperishable. And with that said, what choices do I need to make? What way do I need to think that will create an experience that lasts forever? The question of asking who I am has been around for thousands of years. Philosophers and prophets have been directing our attention towards energy, towards virtues, towards values. We still sometimes don't hear. We don't hear it. Sometimes we still just don't hear it. But sometimes tragedy brings us closer to that reality. And sometimes love will bring us closer to that reality. If you want to live a life beyond complaint, take care of yourself inside. Build a relationship with yourself where your thoughts are aligned to universal concepts. Your relationships are aligned to universal concepts. The way you walk, eat, move, sleep, it's aligned to something bigger than a tiny world. Because the soul will be the recipient of that practice. And the minute you choose to live bigger than what you see with your two eyes, you're going to live beyond all of this crap that's going on in the world. All of this stuff, it just becomes so small to you. Because you're on to bigger things. Because you know your life is bigger than the complaint. And you know the life is bigger than the relationship, than the financial insecurity, and the health. Your life is bigger. What are you complaining about? The other day I was talking to a friend of mine, and she was going through a challenging situation with her governing board. And I was so moved by the way she spoke to me. She says, to be honest with you, Sister Jen, I can't even tell you anything. There are bigger problems in the world right now than me dealing with my board. And I said, I felt the same way about my health opportunity, that I'm not making it into a big thing when I see all the stuff that's happening in the world that seems so much bigger than me. Who cares? Let's move on, you know? And yet, we do have an intimate relationship with situations that aren't working so well. And we do want to bring the best of who we are into those situations so that we can make them better, right? So sometimes when you look at a life beyond complaint, one of the ways that you can go beyond the gunk is to recognize that your little stuff ain't as big as the rest of the world. And that it's okay. It's okay if sometimes you just bite your lip, tuck your tail in, keep moving. Because there are so many other people suffering 1,000,000 times more than you. And you have to start to count your blessings and your fortune, rather than to just keep talking about what's not right all the time. So let's dig deep in words and let's keep asking this question, who am I? In Hindi they go, मैं कौन, who am I? Let's enjoy this meditation.
There are so many crises, so many sorrows, so many disappointments, a great deal of imbalance, a great deal of disease, emotionally, mentally, physically. And it seems that everything needs a healing touch. And where do we begin to heal ourselves? We begin to heal ourselves by the way we think, and also the attitudes that we hold towards ourselves and towards life. And so in this meditation commentary on healing, we will look at the medicines that we need in order to heal the pain, the bitterness, the loneliness, whatever it is that we are feeling. And true healing begins in silence, and true healing begins from within. silence heals. In the next few moments, let me sit in a relaxed position. Let me breathe deeply. Let me become free from other thoughts and begin to understand what it is that I want to be healed of. Whatever medicine I may need, let me understand that it is within me. If I feel bitterness and resentment because of the past, because of what people have said or done, and I don't want to carry this resentment anymore, it has become a burden. It has interfered with my happiness. Then let me use the medicine of forgiveness. Let me forgive myself. Let me forgive others of the past. Let me learn from the past, but also let me forget the past. 3 words: learn, forgive, and forget. Let me be generous towards myself and towards others. And gradually, as I see the value of forgiveness, I become lighter. The disease of anger and irritation. How often do I become angry with others or even with myself? Why do I have this anger, this irritation, this lack of patience? Because someone doesn't fulfill my expectations. They are not doing this. They should be doing that. I must let go. And in the place of anger and irritation, let me use patience and acceptance. When I am patient, then there will be cooperation from others. When there is acceptance of difference, then there will be harmony in relationships. Let me keep putting this thought in my mind that today, let me practice patience and acceptance. To heal hopelessness and loneliness. Life is often full of disappointments, and it's difficult to trust life again. But the great medicine of faith and optimism allow me to go beyond these barriers. Faith in myself, faith in life will bring a positivity of vision and optimism. When I am optimistic, I make difficult things easy. I make big things small and therefore manageable. Faith comes when I love myself Faith doesn't mean that I analyze and have to understand every detail. Faith means that there is an inner knowing. I know that if I try for the best, for the positive, it will work. It may take its time, but it will work. I become lonely when I lose communication with myself and with others. When I have the fear to trust and involve myself again. Loneliness brings isolation. Loneliness makes me concentrate on what's wrong with life. Loneliness makes me live too much in my own world. And to overcome loneliness, let me use the medicine of tolerance. Let me use the medicine of openness. It's like a bud. When it opens to the sunlight, a very beautiful flower is revealed. In the same way, with trust, as I open myself to life, as I have the courage to try again, even if there have been disappointments, this courage to try will enable me to communicate with freshness, with newness, and gradually understand I am not alone. I belong to myself, and I belong to the human family. And with this sense of belonging, there is inner security and renewed faith. Healing begins not only with using these medicines, but also with using determined and positive thoughts. I am positive. I am peaceful. I am a forgiving person. I am a patient person. Let me repeat these thoughts to myself, believing them and using them.
Such an appropriate meditation for our topic. And the scenery. Santosh, you are doing so great in your production with your sceneries. I don't know if I've told you that, but everyone who's watching, could you please send him multi million blessings with so many thumbs up, big hearts. I mean, that was just so beautiful. It's just so beautiful. Anyway, let's go to our chat and see what thoughts are on your mind. Let's see. So Louise, how do you deal with a very needy person who wants to monopolize your time and energy? That's taxing. That's taxing. It could be karmic. I sometimes look at it when I bump into individuals that seem that way with me, that I don't know if I've taken a lot from that soul in the previous birth and they've just come to collect. But they're coming to collect from me at a time where I don't have enough. It's not that you and I don't want to give, Louise, that we don't want to be there in support of the needs of people. So we might say they're so needy and they want all of our attention and stuff. But we also feel like we don't have enough. And that can make us feel frustrated, especially when you care for the person, you know. We laugh around the center sometimes because Sister Geeta and Happy tend to have this little sofa where they sit, and they both curl up. The two of them look very identically, and they're usually more active and noisy when we're on camera, and when we're off the camera, they're really calm, right? So Santosh and I will look at each other and go, what is it? Why is it that when we're busy in the midst of something is when there is a great, great need? But when everyone is free in the house, nobody comes with any agenda or wants anything. So, you know, it's as if sometimes I think our souls are asking something from us where it's a deeper need. They need something deeper from us. And that's why soul consciousness, Louise, is so important. That when you are in soul conscious feelings and awareness, even if the soul is needy or tries to monopolize your attention, it doesn't pull too much away from you because you are rooted in your original place. So when you're in that space, that sweet spot that I know who I am, you can revolve around me and do what you need to do, but this is me. And I think that's the work. So there must be a reason why you invited that person in your vortex to help you, to remind you of who you are. So, food for thought on that one, okay? All right, let's see who else we have on today. Yes, Vivian, yes, I'm glad it did. Makes sense. Having self-respect. Can you address the difference between recognizing that something is truly not working and complaining? Oh, yes. The large organization like the Brahma Kumaris, there are 9,000 branches. Just give that some thought. When somebody says, I have 4 shops, and the kind of energy it takes to run 4 shops. When somebody says, I have 10 shops, it's like, oh, that's a big thing. When an organization says, we have 9,000 shops, you think someone's not going to complain about something, somewhere or the other? Every day is a complaint. Every single day. I don't know how Daddy Janky did it. I don't know how Daddy... No, I do know. Daddy knew who she was. But where every day a complaint came to her about what this one did, didn't do, should have done, she just looks at them, know yourself. She would always tell you, know who you are. Know you. But what is it that you need to do? She would always tell us that. So the difference between complaining and recognizing something is truly not, the difference between something not working and complaining. There are times when some of us end up in positions by default. And as a result of it, it doesn't necessarily mean it's the right setting. So you have to have enough discernment and wisdom to know, even though someone or something might be in a particular place of responsibility, if you have enough intelligence, you'd be like, you know they don't belong there, but they're there for a while and they're there for some reason. But you know, your gut knows this is not where this person belongs. But the complaint now will come is when you don't use the intelligence of knowing why that person is there, and you're trying to pull out of them what you think they should be. And they're not that. And you keep complaining and you keep losing your self-respect and you lose your value and you're getting weaker and weaker. And the more you complain about that person, the more the weakness of that person enters your force field. So the big difference about something's not working is that you will have the discernment and the intelligence to just accept, this doesn't fit right, this ain't right. And it's a fact. But when the complaint starts to come in and all you're doing is criticizing and carrying on, then not only is there no discernment or intelligence, but now you're losing your self-respect and your honor. Okay? So there's a big difference there. Big, big, big difference. All right, so be very mindful that even in your own life, if you're doing something and you're trying your best to achieve something and it's not working, you start to find complaints about this, because I've been tried this, I'm doing this. It's a limit. You might be missing where the solution is somewhere inside. And if you go deep into meditation and soul consciousness, you'll find the answer. All right, let's see. Yes, lots of thumbs up for Brother Santosh. Yay. Good. Yeah, I like to have all of that. Blessings on him. I have to stop complaining at work when I know the boss is not doing right. Yes, Denise Withers. Sometimes I used to have somebody who was the supervisor, and they were just intoxicated with their position and their power. And they wanted you to know that they were in power and you have no power over them. And I tell you, that was such a hard time. I go, what is it with this person? But again, just keep doing good, Denise. When you find somebody seems to not be doing well, but they're in that position, there must be a reason. There's got to be something that they are doing well, or else they wouldn't be in that position. So maybe just a way that you can shift. Don't look at where his or her limit is in that particular position at work, but try to see where they thrive, where they do well. And that can help you to feel more sustained. There's nothing more draining than going to work and feeling your boss or your supervisor is incompetent. You go home feeling like, ugh, I hate that job. So transform. Well, why did they get selected for that position? It's got to be something about them that's good. Okay? And that'll help. All right. Hi, Susanna. Om Shanti. Thumbs up of hearts on my work computer. Great job to Santosh. Great. Thank you. Louise, yes. Yes, yes. Dhiraj, Om Shanti. Welcome to the family, Dhiraj. How we manage a team member who is very senior, but very possessive and want to control every decision that goes through him. I think I already gave you the answer for that. Right, Nicole. It was lovely to have you in the session today. Nice to have you. Yeah, when that team member has that arrogance, the only thing that I have seen that can melt them, and again, it goes back to you. Are you ready to be so powerful that you're not going to let their energy infect you? That's why you need to have more Raj Yoga practice in your life, because sometimes we just pick up the energy of other people and it's not even ours. And we don't know why we're getting sick. You know, when I had moved to Washington, which is 22 years ago, I think, or 23, actually when I left Miami and I went to New York, I'm in optimum health when I left Miami. And I went to New York and I enjoyed my first winter there. And I started to feel a little achy in my body, and sometimes my body didn't feel as healthy as it was when I was in Florida. And then when I came to DC, because the energy here is very different, within about 3 years, I started to have a consistent, persistent back pain and shoulder pain. And I used to watch that, and I went, why is that? And whenever I would go to Miami or I would go somewhere else, I wouldn't feel the pain at all. I just wouldn't feel it. So I think we sometimes inherit vibrations of places, and we're like, how do I protect myself from that? More yoga, more meditation. It's going to help. Even though I still have a little bit of a neck pain. But that was from an accident. It's not from Washington. Hi, Darlene. Om Shanti. I used to be in customer service and was yelled at a lot. Sorry to hear that. But what that did was help me when I called customer service about an issue. I would always state my problem and assure the agent it's not about them. Please don't take it personally. It works every time. So in a deep friendship, if I ask the friend why they no longer call, when for years they called many times, and all of a sudden, no contact. When I mentioned it to my friend, it was taken as an attack. We were very close. I was disappointed that the friendship to me had changed. Was I wrong to mention it? I'm afraid it has hurt a friendship. Are we not to have expectations in friendships? We are actually, with friendships, we are not to have expectations. We're supposed to have acceptance. But because we build attachments to each other, it's the attachment that asked the question. It wasn't your love for her. You have love for her. But the energy of attachment was like, why did you stop calling me? Why did you do? I mean, what did I do to you? Am I chopped liver? And she reacted based on the attachment, not your love for her. Now, you didn't recognize the vibe of the attachment, because we're all struggling with attachment. I have it. Sometimes if I don't see the students come by for a long time, I'm like, where you been? It's just like I get like that with them sometimes. And I know that when I do that, it's my attachment that's speaking, but I do love them. But the energy of attachment slips in. And what attachment says is that still I want something from you. And that's where I think as people, energetically, we're feeling this kind of a little bit insecurity, or I can't give anymore. You see, we're all getting so tired, Darlene, that folks don't know how much to give anymore. That's why until we take care of ourselves, it's very hard to be able to give to humanity. It's really, really hard. You have to take care of your inner world and take care of the soul. It's crucial. Antonia just texted me that happy as attachment to Sister Jenna. Oh, you see, I can't even complain about her because she take care of my everything. So see what I can do, you just have to accept. So anyway, Eli Cosio, thank you for joining us. Thank you for your kind words. You're welcome. You're welcome, Eli. What strategy do you recommend for not taking things very personal? It's a constant struggle for me. I don't necessarily know if I have a strategy, but over a period of time, I'm super sensitive. Not only that, I'm Pisces. My mom is very psychic. I was brought up in a kind of a very intuitive home. And then I end up with special gifts as well. So that doesn't make it easy when I walk into a room or a space and I can sense things or see things. But what has made me strong is that I've balanced out that subtle sensitivity with spiritual knowledge. So I don't have that problem much anymore. So the way that you can develop that ability to strengthen your inner resolve is to find a spiritual study, a spiritual community, a spiritual path where you can have a consistent form of knowledge that can help you to understand who you really are. So you can discern if what someone is saying or doing to you, it's really if it has any validity to you whatsoever. So when you don't take it personally, you're more focused on your inner development, So that I know is a fact. There are different stages that you might have to go through. Sometimes you have to move away for a little bit, Eli, until you feel a little bit stronger. The other thing that you can do is to ask, why do I get like this? Why do I get so blown out of proportion each time the person says this, does this? What do I need for me? What do I need to give me? And your answer will come. And the moment that answer comes for you, you won't shake as much. And you'll practice it over and over again until it becomes your nature, and you won't be relying too much on what people say or don't say or validate you or don't validate you, You see, this whole journey now, Eli, is about you being courageous enough to believe you are so beautiful and that you're so good and that you are enough. And every day you have to find those thoughts inside of you that will support that belief. And all these nights of spiritual vaccine, that's what we do. We try to find those thoughts that can feed the truth that we are more than enough. Okay? I hope that helped you. Brother Praveen, nice to have you. Thank you so much. Nitish Mudu, how can we be safe from others, other bad behaviors and attitudes? By building a very, very strong wall. Not a negative wall, but a wall of values and principles. And what happens when you serve your values and your principles, Nitish, the person with that bad behavior is watching you. It's just that they're in a state where they're not strong enough right now. And as you build your wall, which is a wall that people can climb over to get to the other side of their own lives, is that if you build that wall of values and principles, their behavior will start to change. But without that wall, without that building of those principles and values, you're going to get infected by their bad behavior. Because the moment you recognize their defect, that energy seeps into you and starts to become a part of you. So be careful, okay? All right. Monica Kumar, nice to hear from you. When someone has done wrong and still not on good terms, but when I find out the person is sick, why do I feel like helping? Because it's your heart, you're a good person. The human nature of the soul is not to hold a grudge. So when we actually hold grudge or resentment, we're going against the original nature. So for me, Monica, it just shows how big you are. It shows how large you are. I think that's wonderful. I did. Take care of her. All right, everyone. I think it's time to go. I'm gonna give you a little sneak preview of the America Meditating Retreat, and I wanted to play you the opening. And by the way, I want to give a shout out, I'm not sure if she's on, but to my partner in service, Dr. Kanu Kogod, who worked with me on the retreat, and to Reverend Sylvia Sumter and Dr. Ivy Hilton, Santosh, Sonia, Suja, Antonia, to all those who really helped to make this such a flawless experience for the last 2 days. I mean, so many of us didn't even think we were even on a Zoom anymore. It literally felt like we were right next to each other. It had become that high in energy. And I wanted to share that with my friends, with all of you at Spiritual Vaccine. So thank you for joining us today, and living beyond complaint is to stay beyond all the illusions of the stuff about yourself, and this is all about my self-respect and self-worth, and I have to keep paying attention. We'll get there. You'll see, we'll get there. We just have to put the thoughts in a little bit at a time. It's not going to happen instant, but it will happen. But we'll get there. So enjoy this rendition of Om Shanti by Kristen Hoffman, and that's with 2 F's and 2 N's. If you want to Google her, or we can put her name in the comments field to get some of her music. She's an incredible performer and a very close friend of our Brahma Kumaris community. So enjoy this, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.
this choice together. Om Shanti. We're singing Om Shanti. Ooh.